Good morning. I hereby call to order this 13th meeting of the Pennsylvania Public Utility Commission for the year 2015. Please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Our first order of business is the review of the minutes of June 11, 2015, and I will call on Commissioner Whitmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I hate to say I would have had the minutes here today, but unfortunately my dog ate them. However, the good news is that she and I reviewed them first, and I move that they be approved.
Second.
How do you respond to that? Except that we have a motion and a second to accept our minutes. I'm sure there's no discussion, but I will ask. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes do pass. Thank you. Next, we will call up Cheryl Walker Davis, our Director of OSA, to lead us through our agenda.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
May it please this Honorable Commission, on behalf of your various offices and bureaus, we present for your consideration and disposition the following agenda items. But commencing this morning with matters on behalf of the Office of Special Assistance, it is recommended in omnibus fashion that the Commission adopt the items appearing on pages 1. On page 2, it should be noted that both items that are appearing involving the PUC Investigation and Enforcement Bureau versus John C. Delata, as well as the PUC Investigation and Enforcement versus Samuel C. Duncan, have been postponed. We continue to page 3. We recommend the adoption of the recommendation involving Demetrius Williams, TADLW Transport Services, and we note that the next two items pertaining to Verizon Pennsylvania LLC and Verizon North LLC, as well as Dauphin County Industrial Development Authority versus PPL Electric Utilities, have been postponed. And we continue to page 4, recommending the adoption of both recommendations there appearing pertaining to PUC Investigation and Enforcement versus Scott A. Deckert, TA Distinctive Limousine Service, as well as the recommendation pertaining to WGM Transportation, Inc.
Do we have a motion to accept the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Cawley, second by Commissioner Whitmer. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
It is recommended that the Commission adopt the staff recommendation with regard to the Delaware Sewer Company tariff supplement, noting that the recommendation should correctly note that the Commission adopt the proposed opinion in order that inter alia authorizes DSC to file tariffs that produce annual operating revenues of $43,670.
Do we have a motion to accept the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powelson, second by Vice Chairman Coleman. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
And it is recommended that the Commission adopt the remaining two recommendations on behalf of OSA with regard to Investigation Enforcement versus Diamond Courier, as well as the United Telephone Company of Pennsylvania Joint Interconnection Agreement.
Do I have a motion to accept staff recommendation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Whitmer, second by Commissioner Cawley. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Turning now to matters presented on behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, again in omnibus fashion, it is recommended that the Commission adopt all of the staff recommendations appearing on pages 6, 7, and 8 through and including the recommendations pertaining to the People's TWP LLC tariff supplement regarding the service expansion tariff.
Do I have a motion to accept the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Cawley. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
With regard to the rate increase request of the Yellow Cab Company of Pittsburgh, there's the motion of Commissioner Cawley.
Do I have a motion to call up the matter for the Yellow Cab Company of Pittsburgh?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Whitmer, second by Vice Chairman Coleman to call up the matter. I will turn to Commissioner Colley for his motion.
Thank you, Chairman. Before us is the Yellow Cab Company of Pittsburgh's tariff call or demand PAPUC number 33 that was filed by the company on June 11th of this year with a proposed effective date of July 13th, 2015. The tariff proposes increases to the first 1/7 of a mile. The fare would go from $2.25 to $4. Waiting time, the fare would go from 25 cents to 55 cents per minute. And to both the applicable times and charges for weekend and holiday surcharges. He would add Fridays and Saturdays 5 p.m. to 5 a.m. to applicable times that the surcharge would be charged, and it would change the surcharge from $1 per trip up to $8 per trip. To ensure that all rates charged by a public utility are just and reasonable, the Commission's Bureau of Technical Utility Services recommends denial of this tariff because Yellow Cab has proposed a variable surcharge rate that does not allow a passenger to determine if the fare is the proper amount, and because the amount charged appears to be arbitrarily determined. With this order, the Bureau of Technical Utility Services also notifies Yellow Cab that it must cease and desist utilizing a surcharge that was approved by emergency order on January 14th, 2008. This surcharge allowed Yellow Cab to adjust costs in implementing the Unified Carrier Registration Program by charging passengers a surcharge equal to 1% of the final fare for the trip from March 1st, 2008 to March 1st, 2009. And it obviously has expired a long time ago. The proposed changes to the weekend and holiday surcharge should be denied. The application of a surcharge should be clear and consistent and should enable passengers to determine if the surcharge is being applied properly. Rather than denying the entirety of Yellow Cab's tariff number 33, the remaining portion of the tariff changes, that involving the increase in the first 1/7 mile or fraction thereof and the increase in the waiting time per minute, should be remanded to the Bureau of Technical Utility Services for financial analysis and a determination of justness and reasonableness. This may avoid an unnecessary delay in approving just and reasonable rates for the company should it wish to modify its petition. Therefore, I move that the Yellow Cab Company of Pittsburgh call or demand PAPUC number 33 regular rate increases, that is, the first 1/7 of a mile or fraction thereof, and waiting time be remanded to TUS for financial analysis and determination of justness and reasonableness. Secondly, that the company tariff regarding weekend and holiday surcharges be denied. And finally, that the company immediately cease and desist from utilizing the surcharge that expired on March 1st, 2009.
We have a motion by Commissioner Colley to amend the staff recommendation. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Whitmer. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion to amend the staff recommendation passes 5-0 on the matter as amended by the motion. Is there any discussion? No discussion. If there's no problems, we will take the previous roll call 5-0 on the staff recommendation as amended by the motion of Commissioner Colley.
Continuing with the presentation of items on behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, It is recommended that the Commission adopt the staff recommendations, beginning with the recommendation involving Columbia Water Company's request to register a security certificate on page 9, and continuing with proceeding through the remaining items on page 9 through and including the recommendation with regard to the release of the quarterly earnings report.
If I could ask you to revise your motion to include the first 3 Columbia Water Companies only
Okay?
and take the quarterly earnings report separately?
That we shall. The staff recommendation is that the Commission adopt the staff recommendations pertaining to the first 3 Columbia Water Company cases on page 9.
Thank you. Is there a motion to accept staff recommendations?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Vice Chairman Coleman, second by Commissioner Powson. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
It is recommended that the Commission adopt the staff recommendation to make public the quarterly earnings report.
Is there a motion to accept staff recommendation?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Whitmer, second by Vice Chairman Coleman. Any discussion?
Yes, Chairman, I wish to be recorded as voting no. I still think these ROE returns are a bit too high, and therefore consistent with my prior dissents on these reports, I ask to be recorded in the negative. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
The motion passes 4-1, noting the no vote of Commissioner Cawley.
Turning now to matters presented on behalf of the Law Bureau, it is recommended that the Commission adopt the Law Bureau's recommendation with regard to the first item involving the petition for designation as an eligible telecommunications carrier of Full Service Network LP.
Do I have a motion to accept staff recommendation?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cawley, second by Commissioner Whitmer. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Should be noted that the next item pertaining to Verizon Pennsylvania LLC and Verizon North LLC has been postponed until public meeting of August the 20th. With regard to the next item, we recommend the adoption of the staff recommendation involving the petition of Duquesne Light Company for an extension of time or waiver to meet certain regulatory requirements, noting your statement, Madam Chairman, as well as the statement of Commissioner Whitmer.
Do I have a motion to accept staff recommendation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cawley, second by Commissioner Powson. Under discussion, I will call on Commissioner Whitmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is actually a joint statement, and I would like our joint statement entered into the record as if I had read it in its entirety. Before the Commission today is the petition of Duquesne Light Company requesting an extension of time and/or a waiver to implement certain regulatory requirements. These waiver requests impact the following actions. 1, remittance of actual bill amounts to electric generation suppliers for residential customers on budget billing. 2, progression toward a joint bill with suppliers. 3, providing EGSs with bill-ready capability. 4, implementation of a time of use program during the summer of this year. And 5, the company's Phase 1 implementation roadmap and cost-benefit analysis for enhanced outage communication and voltage monitoring functionality. Chairman Brown and I are supporting today's action, granting the petition and requiring that Duquesne file quarterly status update reports regarding the implementation of these regulatory requirements. We also readily recognize that implementation of an entirely new IT system, as Duquesne is undertaking, is not without unforeseen challenges and impacts. We also fully appreciate Duquesne's recent efforts to keep the Commission better apprised of issues regarding the FOCUS system. However, we remain very concerned with Duquesne's numerous waiver petitions, requests for reconsideration, and time extension requests that relate back to its implementation of FOCUS. Regulatory requirements, such as the ones described in today's petition, exist to better enhance our EDC's capabilities to interact with electric generation suppliers in order to bolster the competitiveness and success of our retail electric market. And while we're very pleased that Pennsylvania was recognized earlier this week through the Abacus Report of having the second most robust retail electric market in the nation, I know that Commissioner Powelson wants us to have the number one spot. That is something that I too share. And delaying the implementation of these regulatory requirements, however, most importantly, negatively impacts Duquesne's customers by not affording them the same opportunities that exist in other EDC service territories. For example, the joint bill implementation that we addressed in today's proceeding is an important education mechanism for consumers and clearly delineates for them the role of the EDCs and the EGSs. The absence of consumer education tools like the joint bill is a detriment to consumers and to the competitive market. So while we support granting the extensions requested in today's petition, we will not be as tolerant of further requests that seek to elongate the implementation of our regulations absent good cause shown. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Continuing with matters on behalf of the Law Bureau, it is recommended that the 3 items appearing on page 11 through and including the petition for Budget Repay, Inc. be adopted by the Commission.
Do I have a motion to accept the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Powelson, second by Vice Chairman Coleman. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Turning now to matters presented on behalf of the Office of Administrative Law Judge, commencing on page 12, it is recommended that the Administrative Law Judge recommendations appearing on page 12 in the proceedings involving Columbia Water, Penvest, John Pugh versus Philadelphia Gas Works, and People's Natural Gas Company and P&G Equitable Divisions 1307F case, as well as the remaining item on page 13 in the proceeding involving Jack Willen Stevens versus Philadelphia Gas Works be adopted.
Do I have a motion to accept the recommendations?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Colley, second by Commissioner Whitmer. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
That concludes the presentation of regular agenda items. Turning now to the carry-in agenda, it is recommended that on behalf of the Office of Special Assistants, the recommendation in the proceeding involving Snyder Brothers, Inc. and the petition for stay be adopted, as well as on behalf of the Bureau of Technical Utility Services, the recommendation with regard to Sunessis.
Do I have a motion to accept the staff recommendation?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Colley, second by Vice Chairman Coleman. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes 5-0.
Madam Chairman and Commissioners, that does conclude the presentation of agenda items.
There's nothing else to come before the commission today. The meeting stands adjourned. Thank you.